I'm going to show you how to use Photoshop to create a range of different types of text effects using gradient layers, filters and layer styles. So as you can see over here, I've got a wide range of different effects that I've used and created to give this overall finished effect here. I've got in another document here a few more examples of what they could look like. So there's one here using sort of colour halftones. I've got another one here with a swirl effect in the background. I've got another one here again with the halftones dot effects. I've got another one here which is similar but used in a different way. And I've got another design here which is using layer styles to create these sort of background effects. And lastly this one here. Okay, so first thing you're going to need to do is open up a new page in Photoshop. So if you go to your home button and then go to create new, and we want an A4 page, and I would probably suggest landscape orientation, and then go down to create. So the first thing we need to do is to create some text. So if we go over to the toolbar at the side, you've got the text tool, which is this one here. So if we just click on there, click on your screen, do not create a text box. It's easier just to click, because if you create a text box, it's harder then to resize the text. I'm just going to use the word hello, but you're obviously going to use a word from your quote or a range of words from your quote, or you could even do your whole quote using this technique. The more words you use doesn't make more work overall, okay, so because it's quite a straightforward technique. There's a series of steps. If you follow them, it's really easy. So this is a little bit small, so I'm going to go up to the move tool. That allows me to move it, but I want to enlarge it. So if you press Ctrl T, which is T for transform, then I can pull my text out and make it the size that I want it to be, and then position it in the middle of my page. Make that a little bit smaller, I think. So that looks good to me. So I'm going to press enter. Now you might decide that you don't want this font, you want to create, you want to use one of your own fonts or choose a different font. So to select the text, the easiest way of doing it is to just come over to the image on the text layer and then just double click, and now my text is highlighted. At the top, in Photoshop, whenever you choose any of your tools, the adjustments are at the top. So I can choose my font just by going through the font library. I would recommend something quite bold. This would work quite well rather than something much thinner perhaps. So just bear in mind choosing, a boldish kind of font. So I'm just going to go with that one. Some fonts allow you to choose between regular, bold, italic, and that's here. This one doesn't, but it's there if your font gives you those options. Don't worry too much about these. We don't need to worry about these. Do not worry about the colour, because we're actually not going to keep this at all. We're just going to use this almost like a template. If you want to add a text wrap to it, you can click on this little T here. It looks like a T sitting on a wavy line. At the moment it's got no style, so I can go through, and you've got these customizable styles that you can use. So you've got your arch, which I can move these sliders to adjust that. I can use this one is distorts the size of it. Let's try flag. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can play around with them as much as you want. Let's do something quite wavy perhaps. Let's try, no, it's too much. Oh, yeah, something like that might work. Let's go the other way. Make the H bigger. Yep, that'll do. Okay, press OK when you're happy. And then if I just click on my move tool, then it's no longer selected. So that's my text. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to hide that because we're not going to use that yet. What we need to do is to create the colour inside. So basically this inside part, that's what we're going to be creating next, which is what I've done here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down to this circle that's half black, half white, and you're going to click on there and you're going to go up to gradient. We're going to create a gradient layer. So when I click on there, you'll notice that in my layers panel, a new layer's come up. It's called a gradient fill, and the default is white to black, which is very boring. We don't want that. So I'm just going to single click on here, and it gives us a range of ready-made colours that we can use. but they are a little bit boring. I'm not going to use them. I'm going to create my own. So if you come down to the bottom down here, I'm going to add lots and lots more colours in there. They're all black at the moment because black is the one that's selected, but I'm going to add lots of colours in there, and just bring this down so it's a bit smaller, that's better. So I'm just going to add lots of these. So if I just click anywhere on this bar where you can see the little hand, you can add in as many colours as you want. And I'm going to just change the colours around a little bit. So I'll keep that there, I'll keep that black. I'll double click on there. Let's go with something kind of purpley maybe. Yeah, that'll do. I'm going to do this quite quickly. I'll keep that one black. That's purple, so if I want more purples, I just click on the purple and then I can click in between and it will give me a few more purples in there. I want to create this sort of stripe effect. I definitely don't like this peach, so let's go with another sort of colour that goes well with purple, so let's choose something like that. And let's put another one in there, another one in there, another one. I'm just doing this quite quickly, but you might want to spend time making it even perhaps, but I think it will work fine for what we're doing. Let's put one in there, one in there. Get rid of that, don't like that. Move them around, so you can adjust them just by clicking and dragging them around. That'll do. I'm not going to spend ages making that neat. That'll do. Press OK. So once you press OK, we've still got this box here. It gives you a few more options. At the moment I've got a linear style and I've got it going at that angle. I can change the angle quite easily if I want to. I can change it from linear to radial, gives you a circle. You can change it to angle. There's still a little peach stuck in there. You can change the scale. I'm not sure what the scale will do with this, but if I had, for example, the radial, changing the scale would make the circles either bigger or smaller. Okay, so I'm going to try angle this time. Let's try that one. Then press OK when you're happy with how that looks. I would go back and change this because I don't like this colour. If you did want to change it, all you need to do is double click on that there and then double click on here, and then I can just pull that out because that doesn't look nice. And then press OK, so that looks a bit better. Alright, so that's that bit done. So I've got a background colour. It looks alright, might look quite interesting in my text design, but it doesn't look, I could make it look a lot more interesting. So I'm going to do that using filters. So if you make sure this layer is selected, come up to your filters at the top, and there's a few you can play around with, but the main ones I'd suggest you play around with are either under pixelate, so these ones here, all of these, or distort. So let's start with pixelate, and let's try crystallize. Now this box has come up asking me if I want to rasterize my image, or do I want to convert it to a smart object. It's always better to convert to smart objects because it gives you more options. You can go back and change and edit things very easily. So I would say don't rasterize it, convert it to a smart object. And you'll see a smart object has this little symbol down here. When I add my effect, if it's a smart object, it will list all of the effects that I've added, and I can go back and edit them at any time. So if I show you the previous one I made, let me just cancel that. All of these effects, because it's a smart object, are here for me to edit easily. So always use a smart object if you can. So filter, we're going to go to pixelate, we'll go to, what did we crystallize? Let's use that one. Convert to smart object, and I've got a slider here which I can use to adjust the effect, and a little preview here. Press OK. Okay, so as I said, because it's a smart object, my effect is here, so I can easily hide it, or I can edit it if I just double click. So if I decide actually I want it a bit more, let's press OK. Okay, so it's really easy to edit if it's a smart object, or hide. Okay, so I could say I'm not sure if I want that. I'm going to hide it and try another filter, and I can come back to that if I want. So if I go up to filter again, pixelate, I'm not going to go through all of them, I'll just do one more. Color halftones. This one doesn't give you a preview, so you've got to sort of try 8, press OK. If you don't like it, open it back up and try another number. So if I press 8, it gives me that. So if I double click on it, let's try 10. No, let's try 12. Press OK. and gives you that. And then you can say, well, do I like that? Do I prefer that? Do I want both? Okay, so with it being a smart object, it's really easy to edit as much as you want. Okay, I'm not sure about that one, to be honest. You can also go up to filter again, and this time we're going to go to distort. And some of these 3 bottom ones are the best, but have a go, play with all of them. I'm just going to show you, maybe I'll show you twirl. And as you can see from the preview, it twirls your design, and you can go either way. You can have it really, really twirled or a little twirl. Just play around, see what you think looks good, and that gives you that effect. Let's hide the twirl, and let's go back to filter. Let's go back to distort again, and let's try wave this time. And it gives us this option where we can change the way that these waves look. We can change the number of angles, so you can, play around with it, see what you think looks good. Gets a bit weird there with that. I mean, you might like something like that, but I don't really want to use that for this. Let's try that. Let's try, so you can play around with all these different settings to see how it looks, and you can decide whether or not you want to use it. Let's try wave and twirl, see what that looks like together. That's kind of bizarre. And then, so have a play around. I'm going to leave it with that, see how that looks. Let's try it with the colour halftones as well, see what that looks like. It's kind of bizarre. Let's try that, let's see how this looks. So that's my effect, my background created. So I'm just going to hide that for a moment, and I'm going to bring back my text. So we're not actually going to use this text, we are just going to select it. So to select the text, what you need to do is hold down Control, and so holding down Control on your keyboard, hover over the picture, and can you see that little dotted outline, dotted outline square? When I click on it, what that does is it's selected everything within that layer. So on that layer is just the word hello, so it's selected that. Now I can hide that, I'm not going to use that text anymore. I'm going to bring this back, click on here, and what I want to do is I want to hide everything that's not selected. So at the moment the word hello is selected, I want to hide everything that's not within the selection. So a really easy way of doing that is to put a mask on this layer. And to do that, it's one little button. It's this one down here, square with a circle in the middle. When I click on there, it's created a mask, and you can see the mask here. And it's called a mask because the black hides what's happening on here, the white is clear, so you can see it, so it's opaque. The black is transparent, the white is opaque. So that is starting point of my design. Now this on the white background doesn't look great, so I would suggest create a colour background. An easy way of doing that is to come back to this circle that's half black, half white, and then go up to solid colour. I wouldn't do another gradient, it will be too busy. Too many things going on, which means it would be hard to really see your lettering when it's done. So solid colour. Black might be, I think I'll probably stick with black, but you can choose a colour that you think would work well, maybe something like that, maybe. I'll go with near black, so we'll use that. So that's going to be my black background colour. So we're almost there, but there's more we can do to it. We can add a range of different effects like glows and shadows and outlines and all sorts of things to it, and that's really, really easy to do. So all we need to do is go back to the layer with the text, with the main artwork on it, and if we double click on the side of this layer, make sure you don't double click here or it'll ask you to change the name. Don't double click on the images, double click on the side, and you've got this box here which is your layer style. So you've got a range or a list of different styles that you can add to your layer. I'm going to bring it over here so we can see what happens. So the first one I'm going to try is, experiment with all of them. I'm not going to sit here and show you all of them, but I'm going to start with stroke. So you need to actually click on it. Don't just sort of click on the tick, because it doesn't give you options. You've got to click on it to get the options. So if I clicked on inner glow, I get the options for the inner glow. I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to go to stroke. And it automatically is giving me a stroke, but you can change the way that stroke looks. You can change the size of it. You can change whether that stroke is positioned inside So if I should make it bigger, you'll see what it looks like on the inside. I always prefer it on the outside usually, but you can have a play around and see what looks best on yours. You can change the opacity, so how bright the colour, you know, how visible that colour is. You can change the colour here. I don't know, let's try something else. So you can have a play around and see what you think looks good. You can change it to a pattern or a gradient if you wanted to, but you know, have a play around with it, see what that looks. So you can change the different settings of your stroke, and then you can decide, well, do I actually want the stroke? No or yes. So you just click on or untick it if you don't want it, tick it if you do want it. So it doesn't matter if you do something that looks terrible, just untick it if it doesn't look nice. So if we go to Inner Glow, it's on white at the moment. Let's see how that looks. Let's make it brighter. The noise is texture, but we need to see it first. Let's change the size of it. There we go, it's a bit bigger. So coming back to the texture, if I take the noise off, it becomes much more smooth, and if I put the noise up, I get more of a texture. You can change the colour just by clicking on here, and you can put whatever colour you want. Let's go with something like that. I don't know, that'll do. You can, what's this one? That gives you blend, if you want like a gradient. So if you want to add a gradient to it. Choke, what does that do? Oh, that just does that. So you can play around with all of these different settings. If it doesn't look right, you've got a blending mode here, which is on screen at the moment. You can put it back to normal. Hasn't really done much on here, but it depends on the type of image you have. So experiment with them and then decide whether or not you want it or not. You might decide like it, but it's too bright, so let's put the opacity down slightly. So you just want it just to give a gentle sheen on the end, perhaps. Anything else? Again, you know, outer glow, that's similar, but it does it on the outside. That's probably a bit too much. You could give it a shadow, maybe not that colour, maybe much darker. And maybe not quite so big. So it's just giving it a bit of a hint of colour around the outside. And then when you're happy with all of those, you can press OK. Now, because we made it a smart object, you can come back and you can decide, do I want that stroke or not? It's very easy to sort of move between them and decide whether or not you want to, you know, use that or not. So that's pretty much how you create these different text effects. Series of steps to go through, but really it's quite simple. What I would suggest is if you watch the video and pause it and work along with the videos, just so that you can follow along step by step how to get to this kind of end result. Okay, try and have a play around and create. Don't just create one, try and create loads of different ones, because it is, once you've done one or two, it's quite easy and you'll easily remember the process. So try and create, you know, a range of words, different designs, or you could even, like I said, try your whole quote perhaps, or a section of your quote.